Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're gonna deploy our Java application to Kubernetes using GitLab ci pipeline. So that means that when the developer push the code, the developer gonna push the code to a GitLab repository, right, over here. And when the code is pushed to a GitLab repository, GitLab gonna do some testing, some like SAST, and it's going to detect if there are any like secret, right? And after doing those testing, it's going to build our Docker image, right? And after building the Docker image, our GitLab repo going to push it to our GitLab repo Artifactory. Yes, GitLab has an Artifactory. So we're going to use GitLab to do all, to store our code, to build our pipeline, and to store our artifact or our Docker image, right? Then we're going to use a Gitlab-runner to deploy everything on Kubernetes using Helm chart. So that's going to be next. But the first thing we're going to do is to be able to deploy our GitLab runner. So let's go ahead and deploy our GitLab runner to into our Kubernetes cluster. The first thing I'm going to make sure that I'm connected to the proper Kubernetes cluster, right? I'm going to do kubectl get node, right? I'm going to do kubectl get node, or you can do kubectl config get context, right? And you guys going to see that you're going to see the proper cluster. I'm connected to the proper cluster. So now the next thing, and if you guys see over here, it's going to be similar here. So that's how you know that you are connected to the proper cluster, right? So the next thing is that I'm going to do kubectl create namespace, right? I'm going to create a namespace for my GitLab runner. So I'm going to call it eagle1 runner, okay? That's how I'm going to call the namespace when I'm going to deploy my GitLab runner. So the next thing is I'm going to add the repo. For me, it's going to say the repo is already added, but you can do that. It's going to add it, and I'm going to update the repo, right? So the next thing, I need some value file, and I'm going to copy it from here. Then I'm going to bring my Visual Studio Code. I do like Visual Studio Code because PowerShell is going to give me some issues, and I'm going to create this one, right? I'm going to create a new YAML file called values.yaml, right? I'm going to delete everything I have over here. I'm going to copy this one. Then I'm going to paste it right here. Then I'm going to change three things. You can change more if you want. For me, I'm going to make sure that the GitLab URL is the proper one. Since I'm using GitLab, I'm going to leave it as it is, right? Then the next thing going to be that I need a GitLab runner. So to have a GitLab runner, I'm going to go to my GitLab. Let me go to my GitLab. And this is the project, right? Eagle One. I'm going to click on Eagle One. Then I'm going to go on Setting. Then I'm going to go on CI/CD, right? And over here, I'm going to click on Expand, right? And you're going to see that I have Project Runner right here. I'm going to click over here. You can uncheck it if you want, right? But I'm just going to copy it and I'm going to paste it right here. And this is my GitLab registration token, right? So the next thing I need to change is the tag, right? How am I going to call my Gitlab-runner, right? What is the tag? And it's going to be almost there. This is the tag. I'm going to call it Eagle one runner, okay? Then I'm going to save it. So after saving it, I'm going to make this one bigger, right? And I'm going to use a Helm. I'm going to do Helm upgrade hyphen install, and I'm going to put my namespace. It's going to be Eagle hyphen runner. Then I'm going to put my release. My release is going to be called GitLab, right? And I'm going to pull my repo. It's going to be GitLab / GitLab hyphen runner, right? Then I'm going to put this value file. The name is value.yml, right? And I'm going to put it right there. Then I'm going to put hyphen. I already put the eagle eye, right? So I'm going to press enter. And it says the release has been deployed. It says deploy revision 1, right? So that means that we have our, if we bring our K9S, we're going to see that we have a new namespace called eagle-runner, and we have a Gitlab-runner. We have, and it's just been created, right? And if we go back, let's make this one smaller. If we go back over here and we see that we don't have anything, right? If we refresh it, we're going to see that we have a runner. And the runner name is eagle1-runner. That means we already linked our Kubernetes cluster to our GitLab repo. So that means that every time we're going to put the tag with this name, it's going to be run on into that runner. So the next thing to do is to start building our CI/CD pipeline. To start building our CI/CD pipeline, we're going to go to the repo first. It's going to be Eagle One. Then, as you guys can see, let's assume that we already test the application locally and everything is working properly, right? The next thing is that we're going to create a new file called that gitlab-ci.yml, right? Is equivalent to the Jenkins files, right? In Jenkins, right? So it's going to define the scripts that should be run uh, into our CI/CD pipeline, right? So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to click on it and I'm going to do new file. And I'm going to name it, as you guys can see, that CI/CD-YAML. Since we have a Maven, that means we have a Java application, right? I'm going to come over here, apply a template, right? And I'm going to look for Maven. So I'm going to click on Maven, right? It's going to give me a default template, right? That I'm going to update as I want, right? So the next thing is that I'm going to commit it, right? And I'm going to have a file called that gitlab-ci.yml, right? So if I come back over here, I'm going to see that I have my file right here, right? The next thing I'm going to do is that I'm going to come over here and clone it locally, right? So I'm going to bring this one. I'm going to open a new window. I'm going to cd to desktop. Then I'm going to run. Let me make this one bigger. I'm going to run clone, and I'm going to put eagle one, right? So it is done. So now I can bring my my Visual Studio Code, right? And I'm going to open that file. I'm going to go to desktop, right? And I'm going to look for my project. It's my project is right here, right? And I'm going to open it. And I do have my GitLab-ci.yml. I can delete this one. I can leave those, right? And I'm going to leave this cache, right? The cache is going to help us in case we keep building the same thing over and over again. And after the cache, I don't need to do the verification. The other steps are not, we don't need them right now. Right? We're going to delete them. Let's save it. This is what we have, right? And what I'm going to do is to define the stages, right? Stages are like steps, right? What's going to be run first, then what's going to be run next, then, and so on. So I'm going to do stages, colon, oh, sorry. Let me do it again. Stages, colon. Then the first stage, as we know, is going to be Maven clean, right? We saw it in the previous video. Sorry about it. Then the next stage was Maven package, right? Then the next stage going to be static code analysis. We're going to use SAST, right? Then the next thing we're going to do is to detect if we have any secret. So we're going to do secret detection, right? Then the next code, after if everything went well on SaaS and secret, so we can build our Docker image, right? And after that, we're going to do some container scanning, right? So that means that we're going to run our Docker image and scan it to make sure that we don't have anything that can make an application vulnerable, right? So it's going to be container scanning. Let's stop here first before we add the last steps, right? Let's stop here first and let's do these steps, right? So I have these steps. What I'm going to do is to save it, right? I'm going to come all the way to the bottom right here, right? I'm going to come all the way to the bottom right. And I'm going to do something. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to start building. I'm going to put my job, right? The first job going to be cleaning. Sorry. Cleaning Maven. And I'm going to put it into Maven clean stage, right? Then I'm going to use an image, right, to run because I need a Docker image. And the one that was good for me was this image. You can copy and paste it, right? It's going to be Maven colon the tag. The tag going to be this one, right? This image work properly for me, right? So we only going to run it. We only going to run it. Sorry, ref. When we have the main branch, right? Sorry. When we have the main branch and when there's a change in either of these file, right? I'm going to do pom.xml or source, right? The source. This file, pom or the source, right? or if there's a change into the Docker file, or if there's a change into that gitlab-ci.yml, right? And what do we want to run, right? That is the next question, right? It's going to be script. Sorry. Okay, I got it. Okay, script. And my script going to be very easy, right? It's going to be mvn clean, right? mvn clean. So the next step, we said that we're going to copy this one for the next step. And the next step was Maven package, right? And it's going to be packaging Maven, right? Instead, it's going to be Maven package stage, right? And we're going to use the same image, and everything going to be the same. The only thing we're going to change going to be this one. It's going to be Maven package, Maven package. And we're going to add a native file, right? Since we are building, since we are packaging, so we're going to have a file ending with that jar, right? So we need to store the active fact somewhere, right? So we're gonna do active facts, right? And we're gonna do path, right? And the path gonna be target, everything ending with that jar, right? That is our target. Everything ending with jar. Sometimes we want to retry, right? If the job failed, we want to retry it 2 times. And we also need Maven clean, right? We need the job cleaning Maven. We need this job, or is uppercase C. So we need the job cleaning Maven. We need this job in order to do package, right? So we add too much step. Let's just comment this step out and only use 2 stages, right? And we're going to add the stage as we go. So I'm going to save everything. I'm going to add something, right? Since we want to use a tag. And we said our tag going to be what? Eagle one. I'm gonna do tags. Sorry. It's gonna be tags. And it's gonna be eagle one hyphen runner, right? And I'm gonna do the same thing right here. Tag eagle one hyphen runner. I'm gonna save this, right? Then I'm gonna put aside this and this, right? This is the old one, right? Let's update it. And as I said in the previous video, I'm using the main branch, but at work, don't use the main branch. Create your own branch, right? And work on it. So I'm going to come over here, go to my terminal, right? And I'm going to do git add that. I'm going to do git commit -f I'm going to put the command updating my GitLab CI file. And I'm going to do git push. So if I refresh this one, we're going to see that we have a new push, right? And we're going to go over here. We see that we have Maven clean running, right? We can come on job dependency and we can click over here. We're going to see that these two jobs depend, the packaging depend on the cleaning, right? I can open this one and we're going to see, or you can go to the terminal, right? Like this, we do K9 S, right? And I'm going to check, I'm going to work only on Eagle One namespace, right? And we're going to see this, right? It looks like it was done, right? So we are waiting. And you guys can see Maven packaging is creating a runner right here. And this is the runner that's going to run MVN package. As you guys can see over here, MVN package. This is that runner over here. It is right here, this runner. And if you press L, you're going to see the logs, right? Everything you see over here is going to be right here. And the job went well. It's a build succeed, right? If we keep, if you click on escape, you're going to see that the job is done and you're going to see job succeed, right? And our job succeed, right? If you click over here, you're going to see that everything went well. If you click on packaging Maven, you're going to see that we have our artifact right here, right? And you can click on browse if you want, and you're going to see that it is on the target, right? And we're going to have our jar file right here. So we are good. So the next steps going to be adding some testing. And we're going to start with the SAST. So now let's add some SAST and secret detection steps, right? What I'm going to do is that I'm going to go online and I'm going to do GitLab SAST, right? Template. So I'm going to look for include and I'm going to copy everything starting from include all the way down. And I'm going to go to my that gitlab-ci.yml. And I'm going to add just above a new stage, just above Maven package. And above the stages, I'm going to add include and I'm going to paste what I copied earlier, right? So I just copied SAST, right? So now I'm going to need to add that stage, right? And SAST means static application security testing. And I'm going to call the job SAST. You can call it whatever you want. And I'm going to call the stage SAST as well. Sorry. Cool. Sorry. Now I'm going to put the dependencies, right? Because I want it to depend on previous stages, right? Or at least Maven clean, right? So it's going to have some kind of dependency. You can copy it, packaging Maven, and paste it, or you can write it down, whatever is working for you. And you can also, yes. So I'm going to save it, but you don't really need to add the dependency. I'm just showing you as well how to add dependency. This is a good step to add dependencies anyway. I'm going to commit it, right? And I'm going to push it. Let's see what's going to happen after we push, right? When we go back to our GitLab repository, we're going to see that we have a new run, right? A new pipeline running. And you guys going to see that we have a news job called semgrep-sat, right? This is the new job we just added, the SAS. So let's wait. But we're gonna have an issue. We didn't put the runner. So let's fix it and put the tag, right? So let's add the tag, and the tag gonna be, I think it's eagle one hyphen runner. Let me see. Yes, eagle one hyphen runner. I'm gonna copy it anyway and paste it. So now I'm gonna add it again, commit it, and push it again. Let's refresh it. We have a new pipeline running. The other pipeline got cancelled, right? And we see that we have a runner running MVN clean. And you see the dependency. So we're gonna wait. So we have packaging Maven job that is running now. Let's see. So as you can see, we can have the log wire, but it's going to take a little bit of time to reflect on GitLab. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but yeah, a few seconds, right? But as you can see, it's running. It's going to start updating the log. Let's wait a little bit. It is done. So the Maven packaging passed. Now we are running the SAT. Let's see what is happening. We are waiting for the helper or the runner to be available, right, to run our stage or our job. So the runner is getting created to run our job. So let's wait a little bit. Yeah, it started. Let's give it a time. And you guys can see it just started analysis. You guys can see it saying running analyzer. And here we go. And it is succeed, right? So that means our code is good, nothing wrong, right? So the next steps going to be just going over the analysis, right? Making sure that everything looks good. And as you guys can see, there's a report somewhere. So the next step, as I said, this step was static application security testing, right? So the next step is to make sure that we don't have any secret, right? So we're gonna run a test just to see if we have any secret. So instead of copying include, we're gonna copy only the template, right? And we're gonna add it under include. And we're gonna add a new stage. And that stage is gonna be secret detection. You can call it whatever you want. And on the include, I'm gonna paste a new template, right? So that's good. So we have a new stage to a new job that we need to create. So we're gonna come all the way down. I'm gonna copy the SAT. I'm gonna paste it down, and I'm gonna change the name, right? Let's delete the SAST and give it a new name. We're gonna call it secret underscore detection. Sorry. Okay, good. And the stage gonna be secret detection, I think. Let me see. Let me check. Yes, it's gonna be secret detection. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete SAT stage and put secret detection. So the dependency, we don't really need it. So, but you guys know how to do that now, right? So the tag is good, right? Let's go and remove the dependency. GitLab will know when to run secret detection anyway. I was just, like I said, I wanted to show you guys how to add dependency on needs, right? There's going to be GitLab add, GitLab commit, and GitLab push, right? And let's go to the browser and see how it's working. Let's escape and see if we have a new job. You guys going to see that we have a new job called secret detection. Let me make it bigger. You have a new job called secret detection. Let's wait and see what's going to happen. The job packaging Maven is running, right? Then we're gonna have the job SAS, and we're gonna have at last we're gonna have the job secret detection. Let's be patient, wait a little bit. If you want to see the log, you can go to the log you can click on the job and you're gonna see the logs, right? Usually we see the logs when the job doesn't go the way we want, or we want to see the report, right? So it's running the SAS right now. Let's be patient. Now the next step is gonna run the secret detection. Ah, here we go. Let's wait. Ah, here we go. Here's the runner. So let's wait. So the secret detection went well. There's no secret to detect, and it looks like our code and everything. Our code looks good, right? So that's a good thing. So, but before we start building our Docker image, right, I want to show you guys something, right? And if I come over here and I go back to my jobs, right here, and I click over here to see my CI/CD pipeline, you can see jobs right here to see all the jobs. You can see testing and you can see security, right? Over here, you're going to see the SAST, right? And you see that we have 0 vulnerability, right? And if you have more, if you want more detail, you can download the report right here. And for the secret detection, you see that you have 0 secret, right? And if you want to download the report, in case you have some vulnerability, you may want to download the report to see what is going on, right? But for me, let me make this one bigger, and I'm going to add a new stage. For me, the easiest way to add the Docker, the build Docker image using Kaniko is by doing this one. I'm going to go to my repo, right? And I'm going to do like I'm adding a new file. And I'm going to do that gitlab-ci, right? It's going to give me this apply a template, right? Then I'm going to look for Kaniko, right? And I'm going to click on Kaniko. So I'm going to copy all these from starting right here, all these all the way to the bottom. I'm going to copy it and I'm going to come back right here. I'm going to leave. Then I'm going to make this one bit smaller, right? Then I'm going to open this GitLab-ci, right? And I'm going to go down and I'm going to paste it right here. So this is my job, Kaniko Build. I'm going to add it right here. I'm going to call it build image. That is the stage, build image. So I'm going to come over here on the Kaniko Build, right? I'm going to do enter and I'm going to put stage build image. Just make sure that the stage you put over here is the same stage as right here. Right? And let's remove this stage. We have 2 variables, right? We are not going to touch them. Let's remove this one. It's too much. And let's remove this one as well. Right? And we have everything set up for us, right? We don't need to do anything else except adding the tag because we want our runner to run this, right? So I'm going to add the tag. And we want to build Kaniko after 2 stages, right? So I'm going to add needs. So we need them. The first stage is going to be packaging Maven, right? And the job going to be packaging Maven, and the other job going to be secret detection, which is going to be hyphen secret underscore detection, right? So we have this. Basically, what we are doing is that we are asking GitLab to use Kaniko to build our Docker image. Using this, right, we're going to build a tag. The first step in the scripts is to build a tag, right? Then we echo the tag to make sure that we have the proper tag, right? So it's going to be the branch. It's going to be branch hyphen the branch we are in. Since we are using the main branch, it's going to be latest, right? If you are not using the main branch, it's going to be dev. And it's going to be branch hyphen the name of the branch. Let's say if you are using a GitLab branch called dev, right? it's going to be branch hyphen dev-wire. But since we are using the main branch, it's going to be latest. That is basically how we have our tag, right? And it's going to build our Docker image and push it using the tag we just did, right? And it's going to be all these. The tag going to be the image name and color the version, right? And that's what we built earlier, right? So basically, that is what we are doing. We don't need to do anything else, right? Nothing else. So I'm just going to save it and I'm going to do git add, press enter. I'm going to do git commit, and I'm going to do git push, right? And let's make this one smaller. And let's go to our pipeline. Let's refresh this one. And we see that our pipeline has failed. Let's see why. It says invalid YAML. Okay, let's go back to this and make this one bigger. So let's go line by line, right? It's going to be need packaging. You guys see here, I put packing. It's going to be packaging. It's going to be packaging. Or you can copy this and paste it right here, right? And the stage going to be build image. Let's make sure that we have the proper stage. Going to be build image. Yes. The roles. Yes. Everything looks good for me. Let's save it and let's push it again. Git add, git commit, and git push. Let's put it smaller and bring this one wire and test again. Now it is working. So the issue was what our Kaniko Build needed, right? So we're gonna wait. And while we are waiting, I want to show you guys that if you go to deploy, you're gonna see what we call container registry, right? And if you click over here, there's nothing right now, right? There's nothing. And let's see what's gonna happen after the build. Let's wait and see. It is running. Let's be patient, right? Let's be patient. I'm going to pause the video and make it play when it's going to reach Kaniko Build. Okay, started our Kaniko Build, right? Let's make it side by side. And let's bring the terminal, right? And let's see the logs. So it's running this stage. It's building our Docker image. And it started building it, right? And you guys can see the tag going to be latest right here. It's building our Docker image, and is this pushing our Docker image. Let's click over here and see. And it's push it right and it succeed. How do we know that we're going to go to deploy, and we're going to go to container registry, and you're going to see that this is our image, right? And as a tag, the tag going to be letters. We can copy this and come here, and if I do Control Z, you're going to see that this is our Docker image right here. So we use Kaniko to build our Docker image. So the next step is to make sure that we can scan our Docker image to make sure that there's no issue with our Docker image, right? No vulnerabilities, right? So in order for us to do that, we need to add a new stage, right? But in order for us to do that, we're going to come over here, right? Let me make this one bigger. And we're going to look for container scanning, right? We're going to click on container scanning, and we're going to look for include, and we're going to copy just this one. Just this one. We're going to copy this, and I'm going to make this one this side, and I'm going to bring my Visual Studio Code, right? I'm going to start from the beginning, right? And I'm going to call the stage container scanning, right? On the include, I'm going to add a new template. And that template going to be the container scanning template, right? And I'm going to save it. Then I'm going to go down. Make sure that you remember this stage, container scanning. I'm going to go all the way down. And I'm going to add a new stage, right? And the new stage going to be container scanning. Let's make sure that I'm on the right line. Okay. I'm going to call it container underscore scanning. Container underscore scanning. The stage going to be container scanning, right? And one thing we're going to do is that we're going to copy this because we need the image tag, right? We're going to copy all the way up to echo tag image, right? We're going to copy it, and we're going to come right here. We're going to put scripts, and we're going to paste it right here, right? And let's make sure that these are aligned. Okay, these two are aligned. That's good. Let's put the proper tag, right? Let me make some space. Let's put the proper tag. We have the tag right here. And we're going to need a stage, right? We're going to need the previous stage, right? The previous stage was, or the previous job was Kaniko-Build. Kaniko hyphen build. So now let me add some variable, right? I'm going to put cs underscore image. I'm going to put the name of the image, right? And I'm going to copy this. There's a many ways for me to do this. Usually we don't do it this way at my job, but this is the easiest way. But there's many other ways to tag or to give a Docker image a name and a tag, right? So we have this one set up, and I think everything looks fine. Anyway, if we have an issue, we're going to see it, right? Let's click on Ctrl S to save it, and let's push it. Git add, git commit, and git push, right? Let's open, sorry, put it this way. Let's open our registry and see, and it is working. And you guys gonna see we have a new stage called container scanning, right? I'm gonna pause the video up to when it's gonna reach the container scanning. And we are done with container scanning, right? So it scanned our container and everything looks good, right? There's no issue with our container, right? If we come back and we go to test, we're going to see that we don't have anything. We go to job, we're going to see this. And if we go all the way and click over here, right, we're going to see everything. This is the needs, right? You guys can see the need. These are the jobs. These are the tests. And these are the security, right? And everything went well. There's no vulnerability, right? So if I go to deploy and see over here, you're going to see that my image was pushed again, right? So everything looks good. So the next step is to make sure that we build a Helm chart, right? So that we can deploy our application to Kubernetes using GitLab-ci, right? Let's jump on it. So let's go ahead and start building our Helm chart, right? We're going to come right here. I'm going to make sure that I am in the right repository, right inside this directory. So I'm going to run one command, and that command is going to be helm create, and I'm going to create a chart called eagle, right? And I'm going to create a helm chart called eagle. And you guys going to see that we have a new directory right here called eagle. Let's start doing some modifications, right? I'm going to go into template, and I'm going to open helper in this side. Then I'm going to change this name, deployment. I'm going to change it, and I'm going to name it Mongo, right? And the service that YAML, I'm going to change it, and I'm going to name it Mongo SVC. So that means we're going to start by modifying Mongo database, right? Deployment, and we can do a stateful set if you want, but I'm just going to do a deployment since we have only one pod, right? So let's go over it. I see over here that I'm going to have some labels, right? And we don't want to use the same label because we're going to have another deployment, right? So our label is going to be name Mongo, right? And let's go over it. Auto scaling. The selector going to be the same as labels, right? It's going to be Mongo. annotation. Let's change it over here as well to Mongo. And let's fix the full image secret, right? We don't want it to be like this. So I'm going to remove this because I'm going to have to add my secret. And I'm going to put hyphen name, right? Hyphen name. And let's name our secret Mongo. Or let's name it web app hyphen secret. Let's name it like this, right? I'm going to save it, right? And we don't really need a service account because we're going to use a full image secret. Let's comment it out. The content is going to stay the same. This is where we're going to change it, right? We're going to change. It's going to be Mongo that image, right? You can change it the way you want. It's up to you though. And for the tag, I'm going to put Mongo tag. Mongo tag. Let me remove everything after tag. I don't need it. And the pull image policy, right? The pull image policy gonna be Mongo pull policy. I'm going to just name it like that. It's up to me, right? I just have to remember it when I'm gonna go to my value file. And the name of my port, I'm gonna name my port Mongo. And the port number gonna be 27017, right? And it's gonna be a TCP because it's Mongo. So the name of my port gonna be Mongo. So that's it. Now we need to do something, right? We need to have a persistent volume, right? And for me, I'm going to use a persistent volume and I'm going to use the claim YL. So let's go ahead and create the volume, right? I'm going to go on spec and I'm going to create a volumes, right? And the name of my volume will be but I'm going to do that value that is going to be PVC that name, right? That is the name of my volume. And I'm going to have to give it the persistent volume claim, right? It's going to be persistent. I think it's volumes claim. And let's put the claim name, right? Claim name. The claim name, we're going to take it from values that PVC, that name is going to be the same thing as the volume name, right? Or you can change it if you want. Let's change it, okay? Let's call this volume 2, name 2, and let's call it this one only name, right? It's up to you. So everything looks great. I'm going to save it. Now we need to mount it, right? We have a volume wire. We need to mount it to our container. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to mount wire. And to mount it, I'm going to use volume mount, right? I'm going to do volume mount fluid. And the mount path going to be that value, that PVC, that path. I'm going to name it path, right? And the name is going to be, that values, that PVC, that name, this name. This is the volume, right? This is the volume name we're going to put over here. It's going to be name 2. So the claim is name 1 and the volume is going to be name 2, right? So we're going to put the name of the volume wire. Let's save it, right? So let's start modifying. We did something over here. You guys see selector and labels, right? So we need to come to our context, right? And start fixing stuff over there, right? So I'm going to come over here. This name going to stay the same. Full name going to stay the same. I'm looking for labels, right? We're going to leave this one. Yes, common labels, right? And we have common labels, right? Let's start doing some modifications. I'm just going to copy these, all these, copy it, then put it a little bit down. Then I'm going to change it and I'm going to put whatever I put before labels and selector, right? Yeah? I'm going to put Mongo, right? Mongo, and it's going to be include chart, and the selector going to be Mongo, right? And I'm going to change this one, the bottom one, because I want my selector and label to work properly. So it's going to be that value, that Mongo, that labels, okay? So it's going to be that. So I'm going to need this to be added. And that's it for my selector. Let's work on, that's it for my labels. Let's work on selectors. So I'm going to scroll this up, and I'm going to have some selectors right here, right? I'm going to copy these, and I'm going to go down. I'm going to paste it. Then I'm going to change the different selector label. I'm going to put Mongo, right? And my selector going to be the first one include, and the second one, I'm just going to copy this, copy it, and oh, what happened? Command selector. Let me fix it. Let's start over again. So we have this as labels, right? We want to change the selector. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to do like this and paste it right here, right? So I'm going to come over here, and the labels the selector going to change to Mongo, right? And over here, I'm just going to copy this, copy it, and I'm going to come here. I'm going to change this one. and I'm going to paste it, right? So it looks good. I'm going to do the same thing for my application. How am I going to call my application? I'm going to come over here and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to do 2 and I'm going to paste it, right? My application, I'm going to call it app as label, right? And I'm going to change it as well right here. I'm going to put app and I'm going to go down. I'm going to remove Mongo. I'm going to put app. I'm doing it so we don't have to come again later, right? So for selectors, I'm going to copy this, paste it right here, and I'm going to change this one. I'm going to put app, and I'm going to change this one, and I'm going to put app, right? So it's going to take a little bit of time, but let's go ahead and keep going. So I'm going to open a value file, right? In the value file, I'm going to start adding some stuff, right? Like over here, we see that we have Mongo, right? And we have somewhere, we're going to see PVC. So let's start with, we already fixed the labels. So let's start with PV, right? I'm going to come over here on the image. I'm going to put PVC colon, right? Then the first thing I have is the name, right? And how am I going to name my PVC? It's up to me, right? So let's name it Eagle, right? I'm going to name it Eagle. Let's name it Eagle-PVC, right? And how do we want to access our PVC? The access mode going to be read, write, many, right? And the storage, we're going to use 10 gig. I'm just elaborating about my PVC and the name of PVC2, right? We have PVC2 somewhere. Let me close this one first. We have PVC2 somewhere right here and right here. And I've said PVC2 going to be named PVC, right? Now we saw that the path, this path, value that PVC, that path, the man path, we saw that it was for Mongo, it is slash data. Let me put slash before. It's going to be slash data slash DB, right? So let's go ahead and make sure everything looks good for the PVC, right? Everything looks good according to what I'm seeing. Let's go ahead and add one more step. We're going to call it Mongo, right? For the Mongo, we're going to have a name, right? Let's name it Mongo DB. And the image will be Mongo. Sorry. Mongo, right? And the tag will be letters. Then we say we have labels, right? When we open over here, we saw that we have Mongo labels. So let's go and define our labels. It's going to be Mongo, then labels, right? So I'm going to put it right here. I'm going to do labels. And my labels going to be Mongo. This is going to help us with labels on the Mongo port and selectors, right? On the service, so that the service is going to match gonna select the proper application, right? And the service, let's put the port number of Mongo is going to be 27017, right? That is the service. Let's put it, let's remove this. Okay, now it's good. After that, we have the type of service, right? The type gonna be cluster IP. The type gonna be cluster IP. And the pool policy, right, will be always. Let's save this one and let's make sure that everything is matching, right? Everything looks fine. Now let's update the service. To update the service, we're going to do the same thing, right? We're going to make sure that the service is able to detect the MongoDB, Mongo database, right? So it's going to be, we're going to leave it full name, and we're going to come over here, we're going to do hyphen that value that Mongo that name, and the include label going to be Mongo labels, right? And the service going to be Mongo type. It's going to be value that Mongo that type, right? Mongo then type. It's going to be cluster IP. And the port going to be Mongo value that Mongo that SVC, right? And let's name our target. We say our target is going to be Mongo, right? And it's going to be a TCP. Let's name it again Mongo. And the selector going to be the Mongo selectors, right? For me, everything looks good up to now, right? Let me bring another terminal. I'm going to cd into desktop first. I'm going to cd into Eagle, right? So I'm going to do Helm template, and I'm going to call it. Then I'm going to put the value file, right? Let's see. So we have our deployment wire is picking up the select the labels, right? And the selectors are good. This is what we want to see as selectors, right? And let's see if the service has the proper, this is a service and it's going to be good. And we have it wire is selecting the proper one, right? These are the selectors. So that is good. But if you check over here, you're going to see that our deployment doesn't say anything about the Mongo, right? Let's fix it. So I'm going to come to my Mongo over here, and I'm going to do hyphen. I'm going to do space that values that Mongo that name, right? And let's run it again. Let's clear this one and run Helm template again. And let's see. This is the deployment, and you guys can see that the deployment has MongoDB now has name. So the next thing we need to do is to add a PVC, right? Let's add the PVC. We're going to call it pvc.yml, right? And to add a PVC it's not hard, but it's going to take a little bit of time. So let's go and let's start it. I'm going to right over there. It's going to be API version, or you can simply copy it, right? It's going to be API version, and I'm going to do kind. Let me just copy it. I'm going to copy it from what I did in the previous application. I'm going to call it like this, and it looks like the PVC going to be the same, right? Let me see. It's going to have PVC.name, yes, and you're going to have PVC process. It's going to yes, PVC. Yes, everything looks good. So we have our PVC now, and let's go ahead and try it again. And let's see if we're gonna pick up the right PVC. The PVC name is eagle-PVC, right? And it is mounting properly because we have the volume over here and we have the volume mount over here. And we have PVC and PVC, so it's doing everything properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing with the application side. But instead of adding a PVC, I'm not going to add a PVC. So you guys can redo the same thing and you're going to see it. I'm going to pause the video, finish it, then come back and continue. So I just did the same thing with the web app, and as you guys can see, everything looks good. We have the PVC, we have the service, and this is the web service. And as you guys can see, the two selectors are these. And over here, we have our web application, right? And everything looks good, right? You guys can go over the everything. So the next thing is to add our ingress, right? We have an ingress right here, and I'm going to bring the value file right here, right? And if you go down, if we scroll down, we're going to see that we have everything we need for the ingress, right? So instead of false, I'm going to put true. So that means we need the ingress, right? And over here, I'm going to remove this and I'm going to uncheck these annotations, right? I'm going to add one more thing, and that's going to be the search hyphen manager, right? And then it's going to be that IO, I think, and it's going to be cluster hyphen issuer. And I'm going to put the name of the cluster issuer. And the cluster issuer are going to be let encrypt, right? Hyphen port. If you don't know your cluster issuer, you can come over here and do K9S to go to, and you're going to click on cluster issuer, right? And you just have to copy this right here and come over here and paste it right here, right? And my host name going to be app.anayelibo.com, right? The path going to stay the same. I'm going to remove this and I'm going to create my TLS, right? And it's going to be app-tls, and I'm just going to copy the host name again, and I'm going to put the host name right here. I'm going to save it. For me, it looks fine, right? It looks fine. So let's go ahead and fix some stuff over here. This is the full name. This is the service name. We are not going to use this service, right? Because we are using an application. So it's going to be the service over here. Going to be different, right? And I think the service for the ingress going to be, it's going to be, we include full name, and the service, I think it's going to be, let's remove it. It's going to be value, because it's going to point where it's going to point on the app. It's going to be app that, I think it's SVC, because this is service number. Let me see. Service port is going to be, yeah, it's going to be the port number. So it's going to be app that service, as I said. And we're going to, let's copy this, and we're going to add one more thing, because we're going to need two more stuff, right? And we're going to need the app name, because we named our pod, right? So let's go back to Ingress, and I'm going to remove this one. I'm going to call it app name, and it's going to be the name of our app, right? It's going to be app that name, right? So I'm going to remove this app that name. So the ingress going to be the same. Let's go over the annotation. Everything else going to stay the same. I don't see why we should change something. But over here, the labels, we're going to put apps labels, right? Because we want our ingress to pick up the proper labels. And the annotation, we have them right here. So they are good. We are good. The TLS, the host, everything looks good, right? Over here, I'm going to change it a little bit. I'm going to copy this one. And I'm going to, the service name, I'm going to put the service name right here. And I'm going to do the same thing. Let's save it and let's try again. Maybe we may have an error, but that's fine. Oh, it looks like everything went well. Let's see if our ingress is picking up everything. We have the app name, that is good. We have our annotations, that is good. And we have our labels, is picking up the labels, that is good. And is picking up the right backend and the right port. Everything looks fine for me. I don't see anything else to do beside like pushing it, right? But before we push it, I want to save everything again, and I want to fix one thing, right? We want it to be able to run into our GitLab-ci, right? So I'm going to close this one and go to my GitLab-ci. I'm going to add one more step, right? And that step's going to be I want to build my Helm chart. Then I want to deploy it, right? So let's go ahead and add those steps, right? So the next steps after scanning going to be Helm chart. right? Just to push our Helm chart. Let's call it Helm chart and chart. And after that, we're going to have a stage called deploy, right? So let's go ahead and put those stages, right? Let's call, how do we want to call our, let's call it build chart because we are building our chart, right? Build chart, right? And the image, I have the image, I'm going to copy it, I have it locally. I'm going to paste it. We want an image having Helm chart, and this is doing the job. After that, we're going to have stage, and we're going to have Helm chart stage, right? Then we're going to add some variable. Let's add some variables. And the first one going to be the namespace, right? It's going to be default. We don't really need this, but, and I'm going to add Helm underscore channel, right? I'm going to put devel. You can put whatever you want. I'm just going to put devel to say it's development. My Helm chart is for development. I'm going to add my tag. I'm going to copy it from here. Then I'm going to put the script, right? And I'm going to copy the script and paste it right here. It took me a little bit of time to develop it, but it's working very good, right? The eagle is going to be the name of your chart, right? We name our chart eagle, so we're going to put it right here, and right here. If you name your chart something else, put it right here, right? And we're going to have everything looks good. We're going to have our chart name right here, and we're going to push it, right, to our, okay, everything looks good for me. So the next thing is to deploy it, right? And I'm just going to copy it, all the deployment, because we may spend a lot of time. We cannot spend like 40 minutes just to building Helm chart. So I'm going to paste it, and we're going to go over it, right? I'm going to use the same thing. And over here, we may need container scanning, right? But we don't really need it. So I'm going to leave it like that because it's going to be the last stage. So it's going to follow the stage. We may add this one when we have like workflow, right? But if we don't have, since we don't have workflow, this is good. And I'm explaining what I'm doing with this command, right? Because Helm requires that key pass via -f set. So I'm running these commands, right? And everything looks good. And I want to deploy it to the namespace called Igbo, right? Or you can put it whenever you want. You can put a variable and put only the variable there and put the name space you want. But for me, everything looks good, right? And we don't really need these two. Let me remove them because we're going to use the image pull secret, right? And this is where we need to pay attention. And I'm going to bring my value file, right? We want to have the right image, right? So to have the right image, as you guys can see over here, it's going to be ci-registry-image, right? That is the name of our image. And the tag going to be letters. So we are good with that. I'm going to save it. I'm going to push it at git add, git commit -m, adding Helm chart. I'm gonna do git push, right? Let's go over here and see what's gonna happen. So that's good. There's no error, right? I'm pretty sure that it's gonna fail because why? Because we defined something right here. We define something right here, pull email secret. Maybe for Mongo, it may work, right? But for a private repository or registry or Artifactory, we need this secret, right? But let's see what's going to happen, and we're going to come and fix it later. So I'm going to pause the video, and I'm going to make sure that it is, we're going to see what happened when it's on Helm chart, right? Or build chart. So welcome back, and you guys see that the build chart has passed. I'm pretty sure the deployment going to fail, but that's fine. If I bring this one wire, let's look the deployment logs, and we see that we need a service account. The service account in the namespace Gitlab-runner, right? The service account default cannot list stuff, right? So it's easy to fix. So let's come back and see the build chart, right? The build chart pass, right? That means that our Helm chart is pushed to wire is pushed to our Helm over here. Let's close the build, and let's go to deploy, right? Under deploy, we're going to have containers, right? For our containers registry, and the package registry is going to be where we're going to store our Helm chart, right? And this is our Helm chart. It is pushed like a minute ago, right? So we have our Helm chart there, but we still have our deployment failing. We need to do two things, and I'm gonna do it with you guys. I'm gonna bring the I'm gonna bring the terminal, right? And I'm gonna put side by side, and I'm gonna open one more browser, and I put everything that we need to do right here. You're gonna see what we need to do first. I'm gonna copy this one and paste it, right? What I'm doing is that I'm creating a cluster role binding called D41. What I'm doing, I'm creating a cluster role binding called D41. You can call it whatever you want, right? And the cluster role I'm going to use is this cluster, the -admin is the administrator, right? And I'm making sure that my service account default in the namespace this is able to bind with this cluster role, right? And I'm going to press enter, right? And the next thing, you can do that, or maybe we need to add the namespace, right? Let's add another one in the is the cluster also is fine. So the next thing we need to do is to create a secret, right? So that we can so that our application our deployment can pull images from our private repository, right? So we say we want to deploy it to Ebo1, right? And we're going to put our email. I'm going to put my email right here. My email is going to be Yannick Parker 1984. Is the fake email. It's not going to work anyway. And I'm going to put my password right here, right? And my password going to be whatever I'm putting right here. I'm going to You put your GitLab password and the username. You're going to put your GitLab username right here, right? And you're going to go to your GitLab and pick up your username and paste it right here. Then the registry is going to be GitLab, so we are not going to change it. This is where we're going to change something, right? We're going to go to right here, and we're going to look how we call our full image secret. We call it web app secret. So we're going to copy this and come back right here and paste it, right? So for me, everything looks good, and I'm going to press enter. So I did the two things that needed to be done, right? Let's go ahead and try to deploy again. I'm going to go where it failed. I'm going to try to deploy again. Let's go ahead and see if it's going to go through, right? Let's run it again and see what's going to happen. I can bring the terminal right here. I see that there's a pod running. I'm going to go to the namespace called Ibo, and you guys can see it is deploying, right? So we are deploying our MongoDB and our web app. Let's look a little bit at the description, right? But this is fine. It's going to be fixed. Let's restart it. The connection refused, right? What is the port? 0.26, right? So the health check is failing, but that's fine. Let's give it a little bit of time. As you guys can see, MongoDB is running already. And if you do PVC, we're going to see that we have our PVC. And we said we gave it 10 gig, right? Everything looks good. Let's look the ingress, right? We have our ingress right here. And let's make sure, okay, it's pointed to the right pod, right? And it is scheduled. Let's go back to the pod. And our pod is running now, right? Let's go to Ingress. And let's see. We have the app wire. Everything looks fine, right? Everything looks fine. To copy the IP address. And I'm going to paste it right here. I'm going to give it a minute, right? And save it. So I'm going to come over here. And I'm going to go to app.nil, Ibo, right? And my app is working. My application is working. I'm able to deploy it. I don't know why the call forwarding didn't work, but that's fine. I'm just going to cancel it, right? I'm going to press F, then I'm going to press Ctrl D, and I'm going to come back. So my application is working and it is deployed and it's working properly. So this is how we deploy our application using GitLab for everything, right? This is our application. Yes, let's add an image, right? I don't have any image on this PC. Seems like that. I thought I have an image right here. Okay, I have right here. I'm going to upload it, right? And you guys see, this is the image uploaded and everything is working and it is secure. So this is the end of this video. Please If you have a question, please ping me, send me an email or comment. Please subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. See you in the next video. Bye.